Welcome back everybody to the channel. It's me, Alejandro Mendoza, Ordinary Chicano. Either way how you say it, it's all good here. And we're back again for another video as we look at some movies. Emphasis on the S at the end of that word. It is March and I decided I wanted to participate in the March Around the World challenge this year, being done on Letterboxd by Letterboxd user Lise, I'm not sure. But every year she does a challenge on March where she asks users, and she does it as well, to select 30 films from 30 different countries and you have to watch it. But one of the films needs to be from one of the countries that she has selected. And this year she has selected Mexico. And of course I wanted to jump on this. It seems like a fun challenge. So every week I'm going to be doing this recap of all of the films that I've watched for the challenge during the week, and you guys can check out the reviews that I'm doing on Letterboxd as well. Part of the challenge is to write reviews for all of these films, so it's 30 films during this month, and at the end you win the challenge by having substantial reviews and watching 30 films from 30 different countries, and of course one of them has to be from Mexico. And yeah, I'm just really excited to do this, and today we're going to be doing this nice little recap of what I've watched from March 1st until March 7th. Of course, if you enjoy videos like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell when you're done subscribing, and of course, click the like button on this video, as all of that helps me out so much. If you want to lend an extra helping hand, make sure that you go over to Patreon, to patreon.com/thenerdchicano for exclusives like early access to videos just like the one you're watching right now, along with other cool stuff like video essays and other exclusives that I have available over there. It is not mandatory, but it is appreciated. Either way, if you're watching this, you're subscribing, I'm so happy that you do that, and I'm just appreciative of all that. But of course, it is available there if you want to go and help out. You don't have to. Before I get into the recap, I did want to say, I wanted to approach this a little differently. I decided to pick, a mix of filmmakers I knew and filmmakers that I did not know. And specifically, I wanted to hit some blind spots that I haven't hit in my journey in cinema. And of course, countries that I felt have been misrepresented in my journey through cinema. And as I went through these countries and these lists, I found out that I didn't really have much access to some of these films, or they just were not hard. They were pretty hard to find in distribution. But I ended up making the list of what I've got, and of course this is what I watched from March 1st to March 7th of this first week of the challenge. And of course, because the challenge is that there is no rewatches in this, these are all films that I've seen for the first time. So let's go ahead and start with the first film that I watched during March 1st, which is Maria Candelaria from Mexico by director Emilio Fernandez. This is a film from 1944, and the synopsis reads, a young journalist asks an old artist about the portrait of a naked Indian woman that he has in his study. The artist tells the story of Maria Candelaria, a young Indian woman who was rejected by her own people for being the daughter of a prostitute. She is protected by a young Indian man, Lorenzo Rafael, who has fallen in love with her. This started the challenge off really hot for me. I thought they did a great job with the photography. I think that the acting is really good. But what I felt was the most compelling was the inclusion of the treatment of indigenous people in Mexico and how indigenous people are viewed in Mexico, which for the time in 1944, I didn't expect to be something you'd see on screen. It seems like something that we've really started to take a look at and really started to notice more within recent times. And seeing it in a film from 1944, especially from Mexico, I found it to be really interesting, and it's what compelled me the most. And it was a really, really good film. Then on March 2nd, I decided to travel over to China to watch Long Day's Journey into Night. This is a film from director Bai Gan, and it is from 2018. The synopsis reads, Lu Hongwu returns to Kaili, the hometown from which he fled many years ago. He begins the search for the woman he loved and whom he has never been able to forget. Long Day's Journey into Night was hypnotic in every sense of the word. I fell in love with its beautiful cinematography, with the acting, the musical choices, and really this story of memory. In the middle, it switches to this very like dreamlike scenario where it's a one take for 59 minutes, and I really found that to be so profound. Yet, I felt that there was something missing from it, and I just felt that I had a lot of questions rather than answers, and I feel like a movie like this will definitely need a rewatch down the line to really understand the feeling and the atmosphere of what it's trying to say within the film. On March 3rd, I decided to go over to Taiwan and I watched 2001's Millennium Mambo from director Hao Su-hsien. Hao Su-hsien is a director that I've been... Oh, hold on. Then on March 3rd, I decided to go over to Taiwan to watch Millennium Mambo. This is from director Hao Su-hsien and it is from the year 2001. The synopsis reads, Taiwan, a voice-off camera looks back 10 years to 2000 when Vicky was in an on and off again relationship with Hao Hao. Hao Su-hsien is a director that I've been wanting to get into ever since I started to learn about Taiwanese new wave cinema from director Edward Yang. And I have to say, I loved Millennium Mambo. It's another film that's photography is very, very attractive. The acting is really good, but I was really drawn to this slow burn pace of a film about a woman who is reliving memories and trying to remember about this relationship that had such a big effect on her in her life. I thought this movie was spectacular. It's a movie that I definitely want to select for the Nerdcore podcast when we do International Film Month. And I am really happy that I finally got to watch something from Hao Su-hsien. On March 4th, I decided to go over to Lesotho and watch Mother, I Am Suffocating. This is my last film about you. This film is from director Lemohang Jeremiah Mosesi, which I have covered before on this channel, and it is from the year 2019. The synopsis reads, the wastelands and crowded streets of an African country are traversed by a woman bearing a wooden cross on her back. She is followed by sellers, beggars, and passerby, outraged voices, pity, and curious glances. Parallel to her, among a herd of sheep, a lamb tootles its way from the faraway mountains into the heart of the city, only to find itself dangling, skinned and headless, on a butcher's shoulder. In the meantime, under the scorching sun in a roofless house, a woman is persistently knitting a garment, unwinding a thread of coiled over her son's face. Mother, I Am Suffocating, This Is My Last Film About You, is a symbolic social-political voyage of a society spiraling between religion, identity, and collective memory. I saw in you what they saw. Mother, you deserve your war. This film from Mosesi is once again another fantastic film. This is a documentary which is a juxtaposition between his thoughts on not just his mother, but his motherland of Africa. I think that he does a great job in poetically being able to express his feelings about both of these things. Yet I felt the film was too short and the ideas were too grand for what he's trying to discuss. And yes, of course, he does cover some of these things within his other films, like This Is Not a Burial, It's a Resurrection. But I felt that the film was just too grand for its runtime. On March 5th, I traveled back to the South American continent to watch a film from Argentina called La Ciénaga from director Lucrecia Martel, and it is from the year 2001, and the synopsis reads, Chekhov in contemporary Argentina. Mecha and Gregorio are at their rundown country place near La Ciénaga with their teen children. It's hot, the adults drink constantly. Mecha cuts herself, engendering a trip to the hospital and a visit from her son Jose. A cousin Tali brings her children. The kids are on their own, sunbathing by the filthy pool, dancing in town, running in the hills with shotguns, driving cars without licenses. One of the teen girls loves Isabel, a family servant constantly accused of stealing. Mother and son and sisters, Teen and Isabel, are in each other's beds and bathrooms with a creepy intimacy, with no adults paying attention who's at risk. La Ciénaga is a film that I probably shouldn't have selected for this challenge, as it's pretty compelling, but it's very challenging. I felt the film has a lot to say, that sometimes is a little bit hard for the viewer to grasp on in one watch. This is definitely going to be one that I need to watch multiple times, and I am definitely planning on picking this up come July in the Criterion Barnes & Noble sale. But I felt that it had great acting and great cinematography and a really good soundtrack as well. But I just felt that I had a lot more questions than I did answers at the end of this film. On March 6th, I decided to travel back to Asia to watch a film from Iran, and it is about Ellie from director Asghar Farhadi. This film is from 2009, and the synopsis reads: the mysterious disappearance of a kindergarten teacher during a picnic in the north of Iran is followed by a series of misadventures for her fellow travelers. I love the films of Asghar Farhadi. I've only ever seen A Separation, and now having seen another film from him, I thought this was masterful. It is currently my favorite film in this challenge. I think that this movie really dissects human relationships really well, and the cultural implications of women and femininity within the culture that Asghar Farhadi is discussing. I think that he does a great job with the photography and the overall feel of the film, and I especially loved the performances in the film, especially from Hosseini, who was in the film A Separation that I last seen from Farhadi. Once again, another masterful film from Mr. Farhadi, and I can't wait to discover more of his movies. And this is once again another example of why I adore Iranian cinema. And concluding this week's movies, on March 7th, I watched a film from Chile called El Conde from director Pablo Larraín. This is a recent release that came out last year, and the synopsis reads: after living for over 2 centuries, Augusto Pinochet's a vampire ready to die, but the vultures around him won't let him go without one last bite. I really liked El Conde. This is not the first film I've seen from Pablo Larraín. I loved Spencer and I loved Emma as well. I found El Conde to be very, very compelling. It is an interesting film that discusses a topic that Pablo Larraín has discussed many times within his films, and that is, of course, the terrible reign under Augusto Pinochet in Chile. But what I found the most compelling about it was the way he executes it within a vampire story, and those around him enabling him to do his terrible acts. I thought the movie was fantastic. It is expertly shot, and it is nominated for Best Cinematography at the Academy Awards, and I thought that it was once again another great film from director Pablo Larraín. That concludes this week's recap. I'm going to be linking Lisa's list and the rules for the list in the description below. But for now, to keep up to date with me on all things social media, make sure you follow me at The Nerd Chicano on Instagram, Letterboxd, Serialized, Twitter, Twitch, and on TikTok. I'm the same handle on all of those. I would love to talk to you all about these movies. Maybe you've seen some of these movies. So let's go ahead and talk on social media. And make sure you're also leaving a comment on this video. Tell me what you think about these movies. Have you seen any of them? And make sure you leave your Letterboxd user if you're doing this challenge as well, as I want to follow everybody who's doing it. Check out my podcast called The Nerd Core by going to our website, nerdcore.com. Our Twitch, YouTube, and Kick is at the same handle, The Nerd Core. We're doing a lot of cool stuff over there, so we could really use your help with your viewership. So please go ahead and check us out. That's it for now, guys. But in the meantime, to my wonderful cinephiles and renowned scholars, celebrate the love of cinema today, tomorrow, and every day after. Catch you all in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.